All right, hey guys, welcome back for Matt Scott, and we're joined by Andrew Full, the captain, as he's known from the Serious Angler podcast. And the funny part about this, Andrew, is that we didn't know anything about you and Bailey until we had our little interview with Rich Lindgren. And I think on Instagram he like tagged you guys on something that we did with him, and then I was like, I've never heard of these guys, and they're like in my backyard.
Right. Yeah, I try to keep a low-key profile. I run a 19-foot Triton right now. I'm looking to upgrade here shortly, but I just try to hide. I feel like my kind of figured out who I was in the fall. People started noticing when I fished with Destin in that Douglas Derby, and we took his boat, and we dropped just over 29 pounds on Erie for 5 fish.
Nice.
So we've been featured in a couple Bassmaster magazines now, FLW, which is kind of cool. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I feel like I'm riding the curtails of one of my best friends that's in the Elite Series, but to see my name pop up in these random magazines and on podcasts all over the place is kind of neat.
Oh, absolutely, that's pretty cool.
So before we get started, we didn't talk about this before, but Matt actually lives in Erie, Pennsylvania. So,
awesome.
So he's seen Destin out a few times.
Oh yeah, Destin, he's very good people.
He seems like, I haven't met him or spoke to him yet, but I've seen him on the water a couple times, and yeah, he's usually on him down there at Presque Isle Bay.
Yep. Yeah, he's got him dialed.
Yeah, he does.
Because I think he lives in Pittsburgh, or he lived in Pittsburgh. I don't know.
I think he's in Grove City, which is a little bit north.
Yeah, so I know he grew up in Grove City. I don't want to dive too much into his family history.
Right.
I know he's like between the two. Like I think his boat's in Grove City. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just called me today talking about the James Fest and all the gas shortage they're having down there. And he's like, I don't even know if
I've heard about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really bad. So
wow.
Good luck.
Hopefully those trolling batteries are charged and just go at it.
Right.
The crazy part is, right, they launch in Richmond, and a lot of the guys are going to run down to like the Chick, or they're going to run north, and they're all like 45 minute to hour runs at 70 to 75 miles an hour. You're burning gas.
Oh yeah, you're burning a ton of gas.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, so Andrew, let's get into it. Obviously you're a guide now, or I don't know if you're full-time yet or if you're still part-time.
Part-time at the moment, hopefully going full-time soon.
Nice. So go ahead and tell us like a little bit of your story and what you're offering, and go ahead and plug yourself, I guess.
Yeah. Well, sure. Probably the worst thing I'm at is plugging myself. I try not to be. I try to be very humble. So, fishing experience. I got about 20 years of fishing experience in like the Great Lakes, Western New York, Central New York area. I used to go out with my neighbor all the time, perch fish, bass fishing, cat fishing, walleye, etc. Whatever type bit, right? I have all kinds of like natural bait experience, artificial bait. And then right around the time I graduated high school, I got really big into steelhead and salmon fishing. At like $1,000 float setups, custom rods. Like I feel like I might have been one of the first people in Western New York with a float setup like 15 years ago. Did that. Then one of my best friends still to this day got me into tournament bass fishing. And it's been pretty much the writing on the wall since. For the last 10 years, I've been fishing competitively all over Western New York, Central New York. I usually do fairly well in smallmouth tournaments. I think I've only won a couple largemouth derbies, but it's because I live on Lake Erie. I'm 5 minutes from the Sheridan boat launch in Tonawanda, and
nice. 12
minutes from Safe Harbor. So I spend 98% of my time fishing for smallmouth. And 2 falls ago, I decided it'd be a good idea to get my captain's license and start taking people out for hire, right, to go catch smallmouth. I'm a fish along guide, and I'm not saying I catch a ton of fish, because if I catch one, I usually hand the rod off and be like, all right, cast here. This is what you're feeling for. This is what to do.
Right.
And then I'll just pick up something else and see if we can get a couple different patterns going and get it dialed in. We're going to laugh all day. I just fully booked for May as a part-time guide. So at the end of May, I think I'll have 12 trips in. In June, I only have 3 days left. that I have available, and then I'm pretty much booked for tournaments the rest of the summer. And then we're going to pick it up in the fall. I just got my New York State DEC guide license. Well, I got the approval. I have to send in my doctor's paperwork, and then I'll be able to offer steelhead and salmon walk-in trips too this fall. So
Nice.
hopefully by fall we can transition into the full-time guide at 30 years old, living the dream. So
Cool. Yeah, I actually thought of that as my retirement gig, but now I'm building fishing rods, so I think that's my retirement gig.
awesome.
As long as you enjoy it.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely beats sitting in the desk at a cubicle at work all day. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I find myself dreaming of being on the water and fishing from basically the moment I wake up till I go to bed, and usually dream about it too. So you guys have that as well.
Are you, in the dreams, are you catching them though?
Always.
Good. Because otherwise it'd be a nightmare.
Yes, that is
Nice.
I mean, there's some fish misses out there that definitely haunt you still, right? Especially if you're a tournament angler. So
I think the best is when you have them on camera, right, Matt?
Yes. Like today, like we got to the launch, and my girlfriend Ann, she said to me, she's like, "Are you setting the cameras up?" And I'm like, "I didn't bring the cameras." And she's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Because I'm going fishing today." So some days we'll take the cameras, other days I want to go fishing and not have to worry about it. So
it's fair enough.
Yeah.
I bought a GoPro recently. I actually caught almost a 6.5 pounder out of the Niagara a couple weeks ago, and I got it on film. But where I was fishing was so obvious, I don't think I'm going to post it.
You don't want to give up the honey hole. Yeah. Yep.
It's like you can, right where I am as soon as I post a picture.
Right.
You would see it. I blurred out the entire background on my Instagram. And
Right.
I'm pretty sure people figured it out anyways, because the next time I went out, there was about 14 boats in that area. And I was like, I'll find them elsewhere. So,
Yep.
Well, I guess before we go any further, if somebody wants to, if they're interested in a trip, how do they get a hold of you?
Instagram, Facebook, I have the Full Fishing Guide Service, Instagram tag. You can find me, I believe it's underneath my name, Andrew Full Fishing Tournament. I don't remember my Facebook tag handle because I never use it, but the easiest way is email. It's just fullfishingguideservice@gmail.com. I respond instantly as soon as it pops up. I'm usually pretty good about that. So that is the easiest place to go. I charge $450 for a full day, so I don't do like 6 hours or 4 hours or 8 hours. It's whenever you want to be done, $450 flat, 1 or 2 guys, and it seems to work out. If we want to go 10 to 12 hours, we'll go 10 to 12 hours if we're catching up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nice.
At the same time, a lot of guys might think, 8-10 hours, sure, we can do that. And they get out on the water and they get a little seasick or something. Yeah, a lot of guys underestimate, if they're not used to being on the water.
That is for sure. So right now, because I am part-time, I tailor myself to a lot of anglers who already know how to fish, pardon me. So a lot of my clients right now come from the Serious Angler podcast, or they're like NYKBF kayak anglers, so they fish a kayak trail. So I'd have guys from Ohio that are coming up, PA, who fish kayak trails in their respective states, so they know how to fish. It makes my job super easy because I can just tell them where to cast, how to retrieve it, what they're feeling, and then if they get a bite, I can, because of the current in the Niagara, like you almost have to set the hook slightly different when depending on the bait you're using, and kind of walk them through that process. Yeah. So that's where it's a very hands-on deal. I'm fishing with you, so we can dial it in and make sure you have the best experience possible.
Yeah,
cool,
good.
All right. So one thing that we'll get into this article that I saw, because we're all local to the Buffalo area, is they're planning on spending $14.7 million to build almost like a fish habitat.
Yeah.
In one of the old ship slips.
Yep, one of the old like freighter. They used to have like all these grain mills or whatever they were down there on and steel plants along the waterfront there. I think that's really cool because a lot of them are 30 to 40 foot deep, just dredged out and dug deep.
Right.
So anything that we can do to bolster the fish population especially for species like the muskie who struggle to spawn in that Buffalo Harbor area. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They say it's going to be almost 7 acres.
Yeah.
And I know probably a lot of the money is going to be, cement, because they're going to put a lot of different stuff around it. And but it's interesting to see that, because if you look at the data for New York, they do not stock bass at all. I don't know if you knew that. But they stock, their trout, their salmon, muskie, walleye. But I don't know why they don't, but anything that you catch as far as bass hasn't been stocked by the state.
I think a lot of that has to do too with like the catch and release regulations that we have. Our season starts so late, so a lot of times when we catch fish on bed, they're released instantly. Most people are photo happy, so they take the fish out of the water for 20 minutes time, it seems. But yeah, I mean, by us being able to catch and release so quickly, I think that helps bolster our natural reproduction. So like places like Texas, Florida, where they have to stock them, the Southeast, those fish just get pummeled. And a lot of people eat what they catch down south, so they have to supplement them with stocking programs.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't help that they've learned how to eat gobies, so they
yeah. I think
when
go ahead, Matt.
When is New York State, when is bass season open for you guys up there?
So right now, technically, we are open right now on Lake Erie. They have a trophy bass season like they do in PA. I believe it's one fish over 20 inches.
Right.
It's only Lake Erie and its tributaries, not including the Upper Niagara. So that goes from, the first Saturday or December 1st through the third Saturday of June.
Okay.
They just recently expanded the trophy bass season, I think 2 years ago. So it's one fish for 20 inches. So you'll see a lot of trophy bass tournaments, 2 fish over 20 inches.
Right.
And then third Saturday, June, 12-inch limit, 5 fish.
Okay.
So my thing would be is if New York took the idea of stocking for bass, and they did it almost like, like kind of like Tennessee did with Chickamauga.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in these crazy strain of bass. I think that would be a cool situation to be able to, to look out and see, these insane smallmouth.
Yeah.
I know it probably will never happen because we like to waste our money in other areas, but
True.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. So, oh man, that's funny. But so a little known fact, like 25 or 30 years ago, right now we have this impressive steelhead population in Lake Erie, right? So like 30 years ago, roughly, don't quote me on the time frame, they actually contemplated not stocking salmonoids in Lake Erie, and they thought about doing striped bass. But that would have been kind of cool to see the striped bass when the lake started turning around in like the 80s and 90s. But honestly, I'm happy they went the steelhead route, because some of our trout streams are just insane. If you can hit it right on the water drop, you can catch. As down in Erie, PA, if you fish for trout, you can catch 40, 50, 60 fish in a day.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's a hot commodity down here, is the guys stream fishing for sure.
Absolutely.
I don't do too much of it. I mean, I'll catch the occasional steelhead when I'm out in the bay or whatever, but no, I tend not to go elbow to elbow with everybody down there. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. So my last thing, as far as this idea that they have to build like a habitat, do you think that'll change how the fish relate to the harbor? Do you think they'll bring a lot more fish in, or
I don't think it might actually spread them out at first. So like the first 4 to 5 years, it takes like 4 to 5 years for things to really like develop and go along. So I want to say probably about 4 or 5 years ago, up the Buffalo River, they did some habitat restoration for like muskie and stuff. And I'm just starting to see fish spawn back there on some of the stuff they did in a couple areas that I run up. So One, I don't think it's going to draw more fish in because based on the way I track the fish, I think they all come to Buffalo anyways and spawn, and then they kind of do like a circle and go back out to their summer haunts.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be beneficial in the fact that they're going to have more spawning habitat, so it can spread out the spawners and possibly produce better offspring. Because when they build this up, there might not be gobies that get in there right away. So you're going to have some prime spawning habitat and unmolested fish.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to do their thing and not be all stressed out and stuff, and might even boost the spawning population of smallmouth there for a couple of years and get some better fish classes. But I don't know if it's going to really do anything for the bass, but I could see it really being beneficial for the muskie population. I think that's where they're gearing towards it mostly.
Cool.
Nice. Now, do you know, Scott, if they're stocking muskie up there at all?
I don't know. I don't know if Andrew, if you know Andrew.
They used to. I want to say they stopped doing it about 8 to 10 years ago. There was like I don't remember the name of the club. I have a good friend who's in it, Buffalo Muskie Club or something, and I believe they used to stock tigers in the Upper Niagara and Erie Basin Marina, just to add another sport fish in because the muskie population was down there for a few years. So by putting in the hybrid tigers, they gave people a sport fish to chase after. They grow rapidly, but they kind of tap out at like that 40 to 45 inch range.
Mm-hmm.
Hyper aggressive, so you just catch them basically doing whatever. So it added this extra dimension while taking off the pressure of the strained muskellunge, like the pure strains that we had in Niagara in the Erie Basin area. But I don't think they've stocked them in about that time frame.
Okay.
Might have been longer. But the muskie fishing has been incredible the last few years.
Nice.
I've still yet to catch one.
Yep, I'm still on that list.
Yeah, I've made well over 10,000 casts easily, obviously. I've still never caught one.
So I hook 1 or 2 a year, just bass fishing. It's always like a drop shot with 6-pound test or a Ned rig, something you don't expect them to eat.
Right.
And be like the wimpiest rod out of your entire arsenal that you'll hook them on. But we do catch a lot of them. I know of 4 that have already been caught accidentally by my buddies this year in the upper. They're all like 40 to 50 inch fish.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's got to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, and on light tackle, it's a blast.
Yeah. That'd be a long fight too.
So I do have a buddy. I built a 9-foot long, extra heavy rod just for muskie.
Yeah.
And he just wanted it for topwater. That's all he throws on it.
That's so cool. Is he caught him on the topwater?
Not with that rod yet. I didn't get it to him until like I think September.
Gotcha.
August, September. So he still has to catch something on it so he can send me a picture. But yeah.
So, yeah. Go ahead. I apologize.
I don't even like. I'm assuming like muskies are, like you said, they're kind of just hitting anything. But is that common to fish topwater for them?
I think it depends on the plug people use, honestly. They're very hyper aggressive if you get them in the right mood.
Okay.
I mean, I've watched them chase out like a Norman Fat Boy 100 feet and then not eat it. We're talking like a 2-inch little square bill plug.
Yeah.
And I've watched them come up behind it like a big old tree and just slowly follow it in right to the boat and then turn away. And I'm like, I'm so happy you did not just eat my plug.
That's a big problem I'm having down here right now in Erie is this time of year, there's tons of pike down in the Bay area. And I throw a lot of jerk baits this time of year down there, and they're just destroying, $10 Rapala after $10 Rapala. It's like, Jesus, like we're going to like Fish USA once every 2 weeks to get more. It's ridiculous.
You're on a clown colored Rapala, are you?
What color?
Clown.
Clown?
Oh,
no.
Clown. That's why I asked.
Okay. No.
Well, I mean, if you have pike, it's not a bad thing because it means you have really clean water.
Yeah.
So they love clean water. So that's actually like an added benefit, right? So if you know you have a lot of pike around, that means your water quality is top notch for them to survive. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
They just smell really bad.
Yeah, they're slippery and slimy, and they're nasty teeth.
Oh,
All right. So I have a question for you.
yeah, sure.
On Saturday, I was out fishing, and I'm actually going to have a video out soon about this, but I was fishing in the lower river, and I didn't start catching them until I was in 20 to 30 foot of water.
Okay.
Off the offshore. And there's I saw a guy out a little bit farther, and I don't know what he was throwing, but he's like, yeah, it's a real light bite. So immediately in my head, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go over what he's fishing, and threw a drop shot, and I was able to catch him. But the only, it is a drop off. So it's like probably 7 or 8 feet. And then it just drops down to 20 to 30. And I don't know what they were actually like sitting on. It seemed like it was just flat. I was right next to some sailboats they have right there in Youngstown, but like, I don't know what they're relating to. Do you have any idea? Is it just that drop off, or?
Yeah. So they're probably sitting on that drop off. It's a good ambush point for them. So if there's any bait in the area, because even though it doesn't look like there's a lot of current there, that Niagara River, as we know, is a current powerhouse. So basically what happens is when you get when it goes 7 to 8 foot and you have that sharp drop off like that, it kind of creates like a blow. Think of it as like a reverse wheel. So that current's going to wash over top of them. So they have this soft pocket they can sit in and wait for that bait to come by. So when you drag your drop shot off the side, it drops down to them. They're like, oh, easy meal. I'm going to eat it. So that's what you're doing, is you're giving them a natural presentation in that current pocket to where you have current and then it's slack, and they just sit there waiting, especially with the really cold water. It's got to be no more than like 48 degrees in that lower. Anywhere you get like those soft bubbly pockets like that, those fish are going to sit in.
Yep, that's exactly what I saw. It was like 48, 49 degree waters, and the wind was actually out of the north to the point where I was actually drifting
upstream.
It was it was very awkward because I started drifting and I'm like, wait, I'm in the river and I'm supposed to be going that way, but I'm going that way.
The bait is behind you like 100 feet. Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, so it was definitely real cold water temperatures compared to I know Matt's, what you're seeing, like 58.
Today was 53, 54
down in Erie.
You gotta have fish on bed.
What's that?
You have to have some fish on bed.
There's a couple. I went over one the end of last week. Nobody was over there fishing. It's a spot usually the end of May that there's a ton of people on, and I went over it, and there was a 5 or 6 pounder that I spooked, but he was the only thing that was over there, but he was massive.
Dang.
But yeah, I mean, a month ago we had water temps in the mid 60s, 67.
I bet you had fish
dropped
then.
Probably, yeah.
You have a bunch of empty beds all in the bay and don't even realize it. So, because Presque Isle isn't that deep of a bay, so if you get 67 degrees surface temp and 2 foot of water, that bottom is going to be relatively the same temp. They'll spawn on that.
Right. Yep.
So, I know for a fact that we already have a few fish spawning in Buffalo, and that our harbor is much deeper than Presque Isle.
Yep.
Because we have some fish with bloody tails that are super skinny. When it was warm, we had water temps creep up in the mid 50s in that back harbor, and that's like game on. I think we had a full moon a week ago or a week and a half ago.
Yep.
And makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yep. Like between Ann and I today, we caught 8 smallmouth, and all of them were anywhere from 4 to 8 feet, just flats.
God. How many pike?
Today we got 1 pike, probably about 25 inch, roughly.
Fun.
Yep. So we're gonna head back out tomorrow morning, and try that spot, a couple other spots, and we'll see.
Oh, you'll catch them. There's gonna be more fish moving in. It's prime time now, so.
Yep.
I'll be out tomorrow night, I think, as well, somewhere.
Okay.
Looking for guide trips this weekend to go out and scan. I might not even make a cast. I'm probably just going to go graph and mark groups of fish.
Right.
So that's my plan as of now.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's the best thing to do a lot of times is just don't even take any rods with you. Just go out and start scanning stuff.
Yeah, I'll probably take a rod and make like 2 or 3 casts and then move on.
Right.
And see what's going on. The fishing this time of year is so dumb, in my opinion, that you can literally spend most of your day graphing and still catch 10, 20 fish if you wanted.
Yep.
Especially up here. I know Prescott's a little tougher, but the fish up here don't really see the pressure like they do down in Erie early. So
the weekends down here, like, I mean, anywhere from now until early June, you get to the launch at 8 a.m. and there's the launch that I go to, there's already 50 trailers there already. And you get up. The one morning we went out on the bay, it was real foggy, and literally you couldn't see a boat until you were 50, 100 feet away, and there was just boat after boat after boat everywhere. And it was like, how the hell do I even get through here?
No, you just go slow and wait.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't like navigating in the fog. I'll put right back on the trailer and go home. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
What else you got, Scott?
I know, Andrew, you are very big on drop shot.
Oh,
and
go ahead and pick my brain.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I already looked and I can't find any flatworms.
I have some. If you need some bad, I got a whole bunch.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys tuned in last night, but I made a joke that I might post a picture of my flatworm box and make people guess, and I might send out. It kind of hurts me because I don't think I'm going to be able to get any till September or October, so I'm debating not doing it. But I have roughly 100 bags.
Oh, nice!
Oh, wow!
Yeah. I actually watched your show today from last night, and it was like after I heard you talking about it, I actually went and looked at a bunch of different sites, and nobody has anything.
Yeah,
it's just I'm glad I bought the few bags that I have.
When you can find them over the winter season, you have to hit it hard.
Yes, every time they would come into stock, I had a chain of people that I would text, and we're in a group, like a flatworm group text, and I know we would all log in at that point and buy literally 10 bags at a time. So we would deplete the stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or one guy will be like, how many does everybody want? I'm putting in an order that they're in stock. It says max 45. I'm buying all 45. So just pay me. I'm like, you got it, bud.
That's an investment, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's $7 a bag. I mean, it's better than paying $30 or $40 a bag now for what they go on eBay. So
yeah, that is ridiculous. I've seen those prices.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised Berkeley just hasn't raised the price a little bit, to try and cash in.
They should.
A lot of bait shops are.
Yeah. Are they?
Yeah, like you'll see them for like $7.29 or $7.50 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that, I like to drop shot myself, and I know you're a proponent of something that I like to do is use very light rods. Because I think, like, when you watch a lot of like YouTube videos and you listen to people who say, "Oh, this is the best drop shot setup," and the immediate thing that turns me off is when they say like a medium rod, and I'm a medium light guy, and I know you've mentioned that yourself.
Yep, I use both actually.
Do you?
So there's a big difference. There's medium lights with an extra fast tip that act like a medium, and then there's mediums that have a fast tip that act like a medium light. So my absolute favorite drop shot rod, and I still have it, is a 12-year-old gray blank Shimano Kumara. I have to get the handle rebuilt on it, but if I were to like turn around and sell it, they go for such big money because they're one of the best rods ever made. It's a medium action 7.2 extra fast, but it's parabolic, so it bends almost 3/4 of the way through the blank, but it has an extra fast tip. And when I drop down on them, I have my drag almost cinched all the way tight. So when I pop them, the whole rod just bends, and then as they start coming up, I can gain on them and then back off once they get to the surface. And it just helps you drive that hook home really well.
Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I said. What I was going to say is, for me, is like if you're not hooking them right on drop shot, it's probably your hook.
Yeah,
because
100%.
you have that sharp hook. You don't need a lot of rod to set it in there.
There's a lot of good hooks out there, and there's a lot of really bad hooks. I've played around with most of them. So I wish I had some up here with me. They're all in my boat. My boat's got water on the cover. But the two best hooks I found is an Owner Mosquito, either regular or light.
Yep.
And then Decoy makes a really good drop shot hook. It's a little more expensive. It's a Japanese brand. So like the Gamakatsu split shot drop shot hook, if you ever hold it up and you take the eye and you hold it up, even if you get like a size 1/0, you'll notice that the point of the hook actually bends lower than the eye of the hook, like the eye of the hook itself. That is a big no-no. That you're going to lose fish if that hook point is parallel or runs and intersects with the eye, that flat eye on the hook. I want something that if I hold it up and the hook bends, I actually want the hook to be raised from the eye. So like a 1/2-inch gap, we'll call it, right north above the eye. So therefore, when you set the hook, you have all that gap in between the eye and the hook point. You just get way better hook percentage. And the best hook I found for that is the Owner Mosquito and that Decoy. You can't find the decoys; they're sold out everywhere. But the Owner Mosquito and Mosquito Light are both phenomenal drop shot hooks.
What size are you normally using for your smallmouth?
Oh, you're gonna make me think. 1/0.
1/0. Okay.
Yeah, depending on what bait I'm using. So if I'm drop shotting, let's say like an X-Zone Slammer or Gajo bait Spirit Shad, I'll go to that 1/0.
Okay.
If I'm doing like a flatworm, it's probably a size 1 or a size 2.
Okay. That normally what I throw is either a 1 or a 2, but that's exactly what I'm throwing. Usually a flatworm or a hitworm, something like that.
Yep. Great baits.
I know Scott's a fan of Scott's a big fan of the 6 cents drop shot hooks.
Yeah, I don't know if you've tried those yet. No,
I'll have to take a look at it. How is that eye though that I was talking about? Is it like raised up from it, or is it kind of run equal to the eye of the hook itself? I can draw a picture here real fast, kind of like what I'm talking about.
give me 1 second. Let me look it up, because now that you said that, like I don't even know off the top. Like I can't even think of it, because it's just something you don't usually think of.
Mhm.
Right. So the bottom one here is going to be like your Gamakatsu split shot drop shot hook. You see how the hook point comes parallel to the eye, right?
Right.
Bad. This one would be like the Mosquito Light. So if I was to draw a line, it's above the eye of the hook. That is good.
Right.
It's kind of hard to see. So bad and good.
Yep.
It's very hard to find a really good drop shot hook that doesn't break with pliers and that stays tacky long enough to where you can catch 10, 15, 20 fish on it.
So right here, this is the drop shot hook, and I think
I think that should be good
Yeah, it should be good.
based on the picture. Yeah.
I've hardly lost any fish at all since I started using them last year, and
Super thin wire, or is it thicker?
it's a thin wire compared to. I mean, I would say it's like probably the same as like an owner in that.
I'll check those out. They're cheap too, so I like cheap and good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check those out.
Yeah, and they're sharp. I'll tell you that. Matt knows how much I end up sticking myself. So
Yeah.
Now, there is a very underrated super thin wire owner hook out there called the downshot hook. And I kind of like that one if it's a finicky bite. So if they're grabbing the bait kind of on the tail, I'll actually put that hook on because it's more of like a Texas rig style hook. To draw a picture of it, because I don't have them with me. It looks just a slightly different than like your standard hook. So this is kind of what the owner downshot hook is going to look like.
Okay.
Well, it raises out, so you can Texas rig like a robo worm on it, or you can nose hook your Senko or flatworm or whatever your drop shot bait of choice is. It just kind of extends the bait out from that line a little bit further. And I found when they bite the tail with like the mosquito hook, if I switch to that, I actually hook more fish for whatever reason. So I don't know the exact science behind it, but it has helped me land fish when they're a little bit more finicky.
Okay.
Nice.
But they bend super easily, so you have to be careful what rod you use them with. Like if you jam on a fish with it on a medium action rod that's extra fast tip and it doesn't have that soft parabolic bend to it, you'll straighten the hook right out.
Oh wow. So it's kind of like thinner, like a Ned rig or something.
It's very thin. I can't tell you how many times I've like double hooked fish in the mouth and it bent over and closed too. I couldn't even get it out. Actually had to like cut the hook to get the hook out. Yeah, but they're not going anywhere.
All right, so we've gone over rods, we've gone over hooks. What do you primarily run for line?
Okay, so 10-pound braid. Right now I'm messing with this P line. It's a TCB. It's like a Teflon coated braid, so it's very quiet when it goes through the braid.
Mm-hmm.
When it goes through your guides. That is one, and Seagar Smackdown is probably my favorite braid that I run on my spinning reels. It's always 10-pound on my drop shot rods. And then for floral leader, I will run probably about a 10 to 15 foot floral leader to 7-pound gamma. Gamma edge or touch. It's both good, but super expensive.
Okay.
And to give you an idea of the strength of it, I boat flipped a 5.57 a couple weeks ago on a guide trip, 7-pound gamma edge.
Wow. That's impressive.
The fish came with the boat. I was like, oh, it's only a 4-pounder. And I went to flip it, and I got it just over the gun wall, and I was like, I probably shouldn't have done that. So, yeah, it was funny. It's a true story. So if you want to ask my client, he'll verify that I did that. And he'll
right.
Because I was just like, you're an idiot. But so that kind of goes back to another little quick story. I love rabbit holes. In tournaments, I never use a net because you never know when you're going to enter a trail when they say no nets.
Right.
I actually learned how to boat flip and belly fish really quick. So with Destin, he never has a net in his boat, and we fish team derbies when he comes up here in Buffalo. And I think I might be the only person he'll trust to belly a fish besides himself. And he gave me the nickname Bear Paws.
Nice.
So that's funny. Quick little sidebar there.
Nice.
Yeah. So do you see? I mean, as far as braid, like that's been a thing for what, like the last 5-6 years. Before that, everybody was like mono and the different copolymers and all that kind of stuff. With braid, do you see that as the reason why we get away with lighter rods? Just because you have that, and I find that with a lot of, like, I try to tell a lot of the people that buy rods off me, I'm like, just if you're gonna have a spinning rod, you might as well just fill it with braid. You're saving money there. You don't have to change the line as much, but you can get away with a lot lighter rod compared to
you don't have that stretch you're going to get with anything else.
Exactly.
100%.
Yep.
I love parabolic rods for whatever action I do. Even if I'm largemouth fishing grass, I like a slightly softer rod because I do run braid to fluoro a lot of times when I'm flipping. So I can get away with hitting them just as hard, but because that braid has zero stretch, I don't worry about losing them. So
exactly. Yep. Cool. All right.
Well, what are your thoughts coming up on Gunnersville?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I honestly haven't even thought about it yet. As the wise man Adam Bartuzak would say, Seth Fire is probably going to win AOY. He's very strong on Gunnersville. They're going there at a funny time. Everyone's expecting it to be a ledge fest, but it's been very cold in Alabama. And a lot of people aren't taking that for account. So I think you're actually going to see a lot of shallow fish, shad spawn type deal. I honestly think it's probably going to be one on topwater again, like Jamie Hartman did a few years ago. Those spawn weights are going to be super tight. You're going to see a lot of like 17 to 19 pound bags. If somebody can pull out a 25-pound bag, they're probably going to win.
Nice.
And speaking of weights, you were just about spot on last week. Wow.
With Neely Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you said 14 and a half a day, and that was pretty
pretty
damn close.
yeah, so I have a little bit of inside knowledge on Neely Henry. One of my really good buddies lives like 30 minutes outside Glasgow. He's like, it's going to take 14 pounds a day. There's no way that'll be more. Even if the water clarity was good, which it was by day 2 pretty much in a lot of the lake, he's like, on average, 2-day tournaments right now, it's taking 25 to 28 pounds.
Yeah.
So I was like, fair enough. I'm going right there with 14 and a half a day.
Yeah.
And I think it actually fell a little bit short. I think they had 56 pounds. I said 14 and a half. Yeah, so I was shooting for 58. So yeah, just a little bit short. So it was more like 13 and 3/4.
Yep. Good stuff.
Nice.
We try to be informed, and it's nice. Like, and I'm sure you guys have noticed this too with like the podcast and the Outdoorsman channel and stuff. You get to meet a lot of people from all over the place and have a lot of interesting people on to talk. And you just kind of get all this little knowledge from all over the country, and it just helps us as anglers down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Definitely.
And I think that's one of my favorite parts about this community as well is fishermen help fishermen as long as you're good people.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
You can tell.
I've noticed a lot, I put up a few videos from fishing down here in PA, and I get people all the time commenting like, hey, whereabouts were you fishing and what were you using? And
yeah,
like I'm giving up like honey hole info here and just to random people out there. But you know what? If you're going to make the way up here to fish, then have at it.
Sure. The biggest thing I can tell you is the more you do it and the bigger you get, the more flack you'll receive from locals and people that you were thought your friends. So just kind of tread.
Yeah, tread lightly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that you will, but usually that's the way it goes. There's a lot of cutthroat people out there that will wham blast you and beat you down for giving up juice.
Yep.
It's common knowledge. If anybody looks at Google Earth or knows how to read a navionics chip, they're probably going to find the juice anyway. So,
right.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to go with it. Like I fish out in front of the fort. So like if you see a picture of me with a fish and you probably see Fort Niagara in the background, there's no surprise there. But if you look at the lake, and, I have a Lake Master chip. You go out there and you look at it, you can see the spots where I'm fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just scan over it, you will see the rocks that I'm fishing. Yep. So there's a time and place. I understand like these big YouTubers that they try not to post what they're on because they have so many followers that people are just rushing to it. But at a point, you just got to be like, you know what? It's pretty obvious if you just come here and just look.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Lake Ontario. I don't talk about it enough. Some of my best fishing days, I'm in Erie. I love Erie in the Upper Niagara, but I have a very, very soft spot in my heart for that Lower Niagara in Ontario. I've got some of my biggest 5-fish limits on the Lower Niagara and derbies. So
nice. And
I don't get down there very often. It's just I love power fishing, and when I can catch them on a crankbait, it's so much fun, and that's why I like to do it down there. So I had a couple of very key stretches. Last year killed me because I couldn't get into Canada and fish water in Canada. So that's done.
Yeah, I fish the lower more just because I live in Newfane, so you know where I'm at. So, and then my wife's from Lewiston, so we tend to go towards that than deal with driving to Buffalo. I mean, it's
big old Newfane. I grew up in Lockport, so
I grew up in Lockport.
Oh, nice.
I went to Star Point. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
What year did you guys graduate, if you don't mind telling your age?
I'll go first. I'm a little older. I graduated in 95.
Yep, a little bit older.
Yeah.
Yep. 2001. So
yeah, so both a little bit. I was 2008, so I'm just the baby of this group right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So for you, like, I don't know how many people actually know that, like, Matt and I are actually cousins. We grew up together. And we fished a lot together. His dad actually had a charter on Lake Ontario out of Alcott.
Yep.
So we grew up fishing walleye and salmon. And, yep. So we come from that background, and we both really enjoy bass fishing, where our fathers were salmon and walleye fishermen.
Yeah.
You floated to the dark side.
Yeah. Every time I offer my dad to go out fishing, he's like, "Well, where are we fishing, and what are we fishing for?" And I'm like, "Bass," and he's like,
"Nope."
No. He's like, "Why don't you throw those 2 downriggers I gave you on your boat, and we'll go out on Ontario, and I'll show you some spots." Yep.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Like it's funny. Like the salmonoid fishermen hate bass fishermen, and I have absolutely nothing but love for the salmonoid fishery because it's so much fun.
Oh, it's a blast. Yep.
I made a decision before I decided to start guiding what I was going to do. I was like, I can get a DP and go multi-species and make all of this money doing like a jack of all trades type guide business, but I don't want to be that way. I want to be very specialized. I want to be a bass guy spring through, let's call it October, right? And then October, I'm going to transition. I'm going to do that inland stuff, like tributaries, walking tributaries. I'm debating on buying a row, like a what was it called, like a pontoon rowboat for like the Cattaraugus, because nobody does that.
Right.
I think that's going to be something that I do, so I can offer guided trips down the Cattaraugus, or if I got a group of clients I want to go up to the Salmon River in Pulaski, I could do that as well, because I'm very familiar with that water. So I have a ton of experience all around here doing multiple different things when it comes to bass and steelhead and salmon. So that's my forte. I don't want to. People often say I can go catch walleye or salmon and steelhead while trolling in Lake Ontario, because plainly I just can't. I don't do it.
Okay.
So I would never offer those kind of trips. If I catch them, they go in my cooler and I eat them for dinner.
Yeah.
But,
sure.
Yeah. So.
What are your thoughts on Cayuga? Scott and I both love fishing up there.
Cayuga?
Yeah.
I don't get there enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes 3 of us.
So it's 2 hours, from Newfane, it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes from my house to Union Springs. Yep. So the only time I really go there is if I have a tournament, or if I'm in Rochester. So my in-laws are from Rochester. But a lot of times I'll go to like Honeywell or Canisius because more tournaments are held there. So I go there and practice a lot more than Cayuga. Yep. I got to get back out there. I have a tournament there at the end of June. I just don't know when I'll get there. Too busy. I got to quit my job.
I did in January, and it's been an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
So quick story about Cayuga. The first time
this is good.
So the first time Matt and I ever fished it, we launched at the state park. We shot over to the east side. We've never been there before, but we're like, you know what? We did some map study. We went over to the east side, kind of, watched our Bassmasters, and you see where Kevin Van Dam was fishing and all that kind of stuff. So we ended up at this island, and it was Friday night. We fished till dark, and Matt just, I don't even remember how many you caught.
It was quite a few.
But the pickerel destroyed me. I was missing fish. I was just not happy. Matt made a video of that trip. I didn't. So we finished up. A little side story. We start shooting across the lake. We have our lights on. Yep. And was it 20 yards from this boat?
Yeah, it was pitch black, wasn't it?
Yep.
And we're cruising back to the launch over by the state park, and somebody is sitting out in the middle of the lake with no lights on, no nav lights, nothing. And we're within 100 feet or less, and they flip the lights on, and Scott like jerks the wheel, and that could have been bad.
That could have been really bad. People should always have at least an anchor light on when they're sitting still.
Yeah.
So it's navigational law, and it's a Coast Guard regulated body of water, so people really should know their motor safety laws.
Yeah.
So we end up we did it a couple times.
That was a Friday night.
Yeah.
We got out of work, went down, fished a couple hours that night, and then we slept. I think we slept in the truck that night, didn't we?
Yep, we slept
And
at
then
the
went on
Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Saturday we get to the launch, and there is a tournament going out. What did we say, like 80 to 100 boats or something? I forget
I think
how
it was
many.
70 or 75.
Yep.
Yep.
Phew.
And so we're like, okay, well, we'll just go back to our spot, and we fly down there, and there's just boats all around it, right where we were fishing. So like, okay,
Good spot.
yeah. But so we actually backed off. We went over by this. There was I think there was a buoy or something.
There's a couple buoys with some rocks. Yeah.
Fishing there, and we just start hammering them right there. And the whole time we're over watching our spot, and nobody's catching like anything. And then all of a sudden we just see all these boats disappear. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just go over there. We go back over to the spot and just start catching them.
Yeah.
And some guys from the tournament are watching us.
We're
And
throwing
just
back like 3-pounders all day.
yeah, 3-4 pounders, just throwing them back.
Geez, I bet those guys are crying on the inside.
Yeah.
So
But
wasn't it it was a Pennsylvania tournament, right?
I'm pretty sure it was a PA tournament. Yeah. But no, I don't know what they were throwing, but I was throwing a wacky rig with green pumpkin and red Senko.
Can't beat it.
Crushing them. That's
Can't
probably my for largemouth down here. That's my absolute favorite bait.
Yeah.
You put that in my hand, and that's my confidence bait.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I switched over and I was throwing like a Texas rig Senko, or I don't know. I was trying different stuff. We were catching them so good. I like just started throwing different things just to see, what I could catch them on.
Right. And you probably caught them on just about everything too, because those fish literally eat. They don't stop eating in that lake. If you find a pot of them, you're just going to smash them.
Yeah. So to finish that story, like that was what, 4 years ago?
Yeah. I
And
think
so a year or so ago, we went back, and that spot that we'd been catching fish on, it's near an island.
Is that Freedom Island? It's like pretty much straight out from Union Springs, straight out to the right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we go out there, and the where are they? The birds, the cormorants, had just destroyed the island.
All the trees on that little island are just buried.
Oh, it makes me so sad.
Yep, and we couldn't catch. We tried, and there's nothing there.
Yeah,
like the fish just took off. So we haven't really been back since, but I think we're planning on getting out there soon.
We did get back there with the girlfriends at the time.
Yep.
The very first time we took our girlfriends out, it was early June or so during the spawn, and we hit that little flat area, come out of Union Springs directly to the right.
Yeah.
And there was that flat area, and we just absolutely destroyed them for hours. And it's like, just so you girls know, it's not like this every time.
I don't want to go every time, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. I love how that happens. And
right.
I tell like my clients right now too, I'm like, if you come back in the summer, we're not going to catch 100 fish a day. There's just no way. We're going to go down 5 to 10 bites, and we have to get them all in the boat for a really good day. Because right now it's just dumb. They're so stacked up. It's that same thing. You can make the same cast 7 times and get 7 bites.
Yeah.
So just
all right.
You want to wrap this up, Scotty?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have any other questions, or do you have anything to say, Andrew? Well,
oh man, I mean, I am good for however long you guys want to go. Talk all night. I mean, I don't have any like exact comments or quotes besides anybody who wants to go fishing, just make sure you reach out to me. I guess it's easy enough, full fishing guide service at gmail.com or Instagram and Facebook. I respond relatively quickly. I think I'm not sure which one. I believe it's Scott I've been talking to on Instagram. Yeah. I respond usually pretty quick. So just hit me up, and I'm answering questions all day. So never be afraid to ask for tips or hints or tricks. I have a plethora of words I will just deliver. So
nice.
You know what would be fun, Scott, is if the two of us had Andy take us out.
All right.
You guys can go fishing. We'll find out today. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. You can film. It's fine. If you really want to have some fun, come in like September. We'll go drop on them deep for some days. We'll go smallie fishing, like 40 foot of water.
Yeah, why not?
we'll have to figure that out. We'll see. September I'm actually expecting a child, so
First one or second or?
it's my second one.
Congrats.
I have a 10-year-old boy also, so but yeah, this come September I'm going to be a little caught up, so
I understand.
we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
A funny story. Up until my wife, I think, was due on like a Friday. I fished a derby the Wednesday before she was due. And a week and a half before she was due, I fished my first tournament on Cayuga, and I stayed overnight.
Oh man.
Way out of here. So, we're just gonna hang out.
And he's still married, folks.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, literally, she's in Florida right now, and she comes home tomorrow. And I was like, the only day I can get out and practice for the weekend is tomorrow, so I won't see you probably. And she's like, have fun.
Wow.
That's
I'm
good girl.
100% blessed. I have the greatest life partner of all time. She knows the family always comes first, but fishing is right there. So,
Right.
especially because I'm trying to transition into like the professional fishing side, she understands that it's probably going to be a summer or two of just hectic lifestyle of me literally being on the water whenever is possible. So,
yeah,
it's fun.
So for our viewers, can you tell us what website you ordered your wife through? So
Actually, it's kind of funny. Plenty of fish, I found.
Nice.
My story on that is I was living with one of my best friends, like childhood best friends at the time. And one night we were drinking and I got excessively drunk. And I was like, I've been single for far too long. I'm going to make this dumb profile on this stupid website because it says fish. Well, I didn't check it for like 3 weeks and I go in there and I don't remember. I think she actually messaged me first. And I didn't respond to her for like a week. And I was just like, hey, I don't use this. Here's my number if you actually want to talk. And then we texted for a few days. And then I like didn't talk to her for 3 weeks. And then she was like, so do you want to meet up or not? And I was like, okay, yeah. I called off of work and met her that Friday. And the rest is history. So like
Nice.
zero conversation. And then we
Wow.
kind of met up one night in Rochester. And yeah, rest is history. We've been together.
Cool.
Oh, we're going on 4 years married. We dated for 3 years before that and talked for like 3 months before we officially started dating and hung out, whatever. So roughly 8 years, I think, in February. Yeah, we started dating in February. So I think this year is going to be 8 years that we've been together in total.
Nice.
Yeah. And the whole time, I'm like, never get between me and fishing because I will break up with you. So, right off the bat.
Question for you.
Yeah.
So on that first date, did you guys go out for some garbage plates?
We actually did go to Bill Gray's, but I think I had a cheeseburger. So it's kind of funny to go to Bill Gray's, but
Right.
the cheeseburger, and I want to say it was like the second or third date we ended up getting garbage plates from this place in Brockport. I think it's Brockport called Jimmy Z's.
I've been there.
In Rochester.
Been there a bunch of times back in the day.
Oh yeah. And it's a funny story too because I think that was the night she graduated from college. We got Jimmy Z's, so it was like the 35th date by then. But that was the first time I went to Jimmy Z's, and she got pulled over on the way to her apartment because she was going like 8 miles an hour over the speed limit. I just made fun of her for like the next year on that. Like, remember the time we got garbage plates and whole cars with like beef and potato and with like a 12-pack of beer and like 6 wine bottles on the back seat.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
So to finish out, if you could have a steak and a beer with 3 people, no, I'll leave that for you guys. No, I'll leave that for your show.
Fair enough. So, but yeah, do you have any like closing questions for me? Like, I would love to get you guys on the water sometime. It'd be fun. It's a tight squeeze to get 3 people on my boat, but we make it work.
I mean, Matt fishes on a 17-foot boat. I have an 18-foot boat. So
16.
Oh, 16.
Yeah.
Woo.
I got an 18-foot-8 Triton TRX 189 with a 150 on it. It's 18-foot-8. But I am trying to convince the wife to let me upgrade, but I have to buy a bigger house first.
Another question. What are you looking to upgrade to? Because I'm kind of in the market for one myself.
I'm either going to buy a 20 PHX Phoenix or a 650 Blazer Pro Elite.
Okay.
Those are the two boats I'm looking at.
All right.
One will run mid to low 70s. The other one will run 75 to 82.
Wow. Is that with a 300 on it?
No, 250.
250? Wow.
And there's only one motor I'll own going forward when I upgrade. That's a Yamaha Show. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I run a 90 horse Yamaha on my Ranger, and
they last forever.
Oh yeah, I love that. And I will never go to anything other than a 4-stroke. I mean, after having a 4-stroke, I don't see how you would own a 2-stroke ever again.
Absolutely not. So I have a Evinrude E-Tech HO 150 on it on my Triton. That thing is just incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, good hole shot.
Whole shot. It's super. We can run down the lake at 55 and hold a full blown conversation. It's so quiet.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a 2-stroke myself. It's my boat first. My first of all, my boat is probably just about as old as the two of you combined. But it's
a boat, man.
Yeah,
the water. So who
the
cares?
boat's been in the family for I don't know, probably like 30 years. It's a 1970 Starcraft Super Sport, 16 foot, and it's got
it's ever made.
Yeah, and it's got a 70 horse Evinrude 3-cylinder on it. So it's a little temperamental at times, but it goes pretty good.
Could you blame it?
Did I what?
Can you blame it? It's the ringer. So
that thing, it's got great compression still, and it likes to go full throttle, and it doesn't really like anything else.
That's like one thing people don't realize about like these high-end fuel injected motors. They do not like to be run at low RPMs or mid RPMs.
Right.
Well, I've actually talked to like a few mechanics on it. Like it's actually really bad for your motors to idle all the time and drive around at 2 to 3 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you hammer on them, you're going to lead them out and then they pop.
Okay.
These high output motors are actually meant to be driven. And some of the guys that I know that actually drive their boats hard have more hours on them than people who idle. Because people who idle, when they hit them that one hard time, they blow up because they don't leave. So I'm a big proponent on get to where you're going. I'll run like 3/4 throttle all the time. So I'm not absolutely like stressing my motor out to the max. But if I'm fun fishing, I'll run, let's say the max speed my boat gets is like 58 miles an hour on a really good day by myself. I'll run 50, 51, like 5,200, 5,300 RPMs, right below the threshold where I'm really beating on it, but just enough to where it's getting the best gas mileage I can.
Right.
And I'll get to an area and I'll just do like a 3-minute idle around and then I'll hammer to the next spot because I don't want to run that motor too soft because that's when you run into issues.
Right. Yeah, I like wide open in mine. I think I get about 55, 5,600 RPM, but normally if I'm just cruising, it's 51, 52, somewhere in there.
It's perfect. That's all you need.
Yep. And that gets me, well, my top end, depending on the prop, but usually about 30.
Hey, you're getting
I cruise normally about 27, so
it's fine.
It gets me there.
I love going fast. That's why I love
Right.
And that's where I had to make the decision. It was the hardest decision. I was like, deep V, and I can learn how to do all these other things, but I really want to become like a regional pro bass fisherman. So I'm like, I have to have a fiberglass boat. Have to. So next year, depending on how this fall and summer and spring go, I'm probably going to either hop in the Northern Opens or fish the BFL Northeast Division. One of the two. I haven't decided yet.
Nice.
I was going to ask you what your aspirations were, like if you're going to look to try and compete at a higher level.
I have no aspirations to go like nationally pro. And I've actually had this conversation with my wife multiple times because I love family. I hate being away. So I have zero aspirations to be like a touring pro. But I was like, if the opportunity ever presented itself, like if I somehow made it there, it is something I would seriously have to sit down and contemplate and think about.
Yeah. That's a big decision.
Yeah. As we, because it's not just you're going fishing, right? An entry fee into the Elite Series is $43,000 for 8 tournaments.
Yep.
Like, it's insane. The Northern Opens are $1,800 a tournament, and that's just your entry fee. You have to think about lodging, gas, food. If you're to go down and pre-fish like a month beforehand and go scope out the water, you have to equate all that in. So by the time, just for 3 tournaments, it might cost you $10,000 to $15,000, and you're not making that money back unless you win.
Right.
So it's like, how much time and money and effort do I really want to put into that?
Right.
So big question marks, but I'm going to fish something bigger next year. I just don't know what yet. And it also depends on the boat I get. I could do it in my boat. I just don't want to be trailering 600 miles at a time with a single axle trailer. So,
right. Yeah, you got a bearing to go out or something. It's bad news.
Yep. Or if I have a bearing go bad on a dual axle trailer, so be it.
Yeah, you can limp it.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's good. I mean, we're just over an hour now, so thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hopefully everybody learns a little bit of something. So I'm a tangent rambler, and I apologize on my own behalf here. But anytime you guys want, let me know, and we'll make it happen.
Cool.
So
yeah,
sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and let's get out fishing soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to get one of my rods into your hands and see what you think.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to try it out. So
yeah,
give you honest feedback, and I love tinkering. Do you know John Long by any chance?
Yeah, I'm actually. It's funny because I'm in a rod building group on Facebook.
He's one of my really good friends.
Is he? Nice.
Yeah, I know him very well.
Yeah, we started actually talking because like he's, I think he's only like 10 minutes from me.
Yeah, he's in Newfane. So
yeah.
Yeah, so I remember when he first started building rods. Now here we go, another rabbit hole when we're ending up. I think he built like one of my first steelhead rods that I had that was Baitcaster, spiral wrap. So whenever I need rod repairs, I just take them to him and hand them off and like, give them to me when you can. He's the one that's going to rebuild my Kumara for me.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Very good. We have a funky history on how we became friends. That's for a whole different topic in like 8. So
yeah, it's I've been doing it for 2 years, and I just priced out my 48th rod.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So yeah,
it's a milestone. 50 is a big milestone.
Yeah.
I have 3 of them.
Yeah, he has 3 of them.
What blanks do you use?
I use a little bit of everything actually. I haven't figured out what I want to like solely go to, because there's some people that want like a higher end rod. And I do have a place I can get St. Croix blanks. They have a side company called Rod Geeks. They build basically the same blanks that they use. I can get through them, which I've started doing because I can actually get like 36 different colors. So I can build a high end rod and put it the exact color you want, which I don't think you can't go and just buy a rod and be like, oh, it's pink and blue. Like that's hard to do. But then the other company I deal with a lot is Mudhole, and they do a lot of their own blanks. And,
MHX series and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually my drop shot rod is an MHX, and I love that thing. It's amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I would love to see them sometime. So
yeah,
that'd be cool. When you come out, we'll just have you bring all your rods and we'll put them through the ringer.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt's my guinea pig also. I gave him, I built him a jerkbait rod, and I said, here, like, give me your honest review, because if you're just gonna blow smoke at me, like I don't want that. So like, I don't ever want to build a rod and like have somebody tell me that it's awesome and it'd be just garbage. Like, I want the honest truth, because I want you to be happy. Like,
so here's my opinion on rods. The first thing I look for when I pick up a rod is, how does it feel in my hand? Rod handle length from reel seat to handle, depending on the application I want to use. guide and guide spacing. So how many guides are on the rod and how are they spaced properly? So that is one of my biggest thing. I can't stand rods that are 7'4" that have 7 guides on them.
No, hell no.
I need them to have at least 11 or 12 at a minimum because I want that to be so fluid. And there's some rods out there that sell for $200, and when you torque on them with line, it almost looks like the rod is contorting to the side because it doesn't have enough guides and they're not properly placed. And I'll never buy that rod. I put it right down. I'm like, this is garbage, even though it's $450.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the most sensitive rod in here. I'm like, I can't use the guide spacing's all wrong. They'll cast funny, and when I set the hook, I'm going to lose them because the rod now is the line. As I want that line to come through in the shape of the rod. I don't want it to come in at straight lines through each guide spacing. So, and that's where I get really meticulous with rods. So
yeah,
that.
Yeah. When I actually build, I actually, after I put the handle on, put the reel seat, I will actually lay out all the guides. I use like a rubber, like guide. They call it guide tubing.
Yeah.
And place all the guides on the rod and actually put a reel on there and static test it. So when you bend it over, I make sure it actually has a good bend to it.
Nice.
And it's been a lot of trial and error. I do have like all the guide sets I get they come with guide spacing chart.
Yeah.
So I always start with that just to place them on the rod. But then after I static test it, I can move them because every rod's different depending on how it bends and what the action is.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So you have to do a little bit of movement here and there, but for the most part, it's most of the rods have the micro guides nowadays. So you have to get it right, or else that line's going on the other side of the blank.
It looks really funny. I'm actually not a huge micro guide fan. I like the macro guides, like right in betweens. Those are my absolute favorite.
So one of my favorite guides, and I don't have any right here. They're called SSR.
Yep.
And so it's like that. It's not even a ceramic. It has that metal. And the best part is they're half the weight of your ceramic guides, but they're also the holes are bigger. So you can get away with a smaller guide, but the actual hole will be bigger.
That's good.
The only problem is actually getting them now because they're sold out everywhere because of, COVID and all that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
As everything is.
Props
but I'm going to wrap up here. So, go ahead.
Props to Scott because I took a trip down to Chickamauga and Cumberland back in early March, and was it the day or 2 days before we left? Scott actually drove down and delivered my jerkbait rod for me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
it's a family for.
Right. And I caught fish on it too, so that +1.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then you wrecked the tip top on it because you're throwing.
I broke my deep diving crankbait rod. I broke the tip on it, got caught up in the trolling motor, and so I ended up using my jerkbait rod because I didn't bring my full arsenal of rods with me for some stupid reason. So I was using that and ended up twisting the tip guide on it. So,
oh jeez,
we got it fixed.
Yep.
It helps to know people.
Yes, it does.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. We appreciate it. In the comment or the description down below, I'll put your information. So
much appreciated. I'll share too. Make sure you tell me when you post it, and I'll make sure I get it shared around for you as well. So
yeah, it'll be a couple of days. I'll let you shoot you a message on Instagram and let you know.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
All right.
It was a pleasure meeting both of you, and
you as well.
Talking to you some more. I'll shoot you my number in the messenger as well. So anytime, shoot me a text.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
All right. Have a good one.
Good night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye
now. All right, Matt.
Very good.
Yeah,
almost an hour and 15 minutes, but that was good. I mean, it was. It's always good having somebody on that's easy to talk to, and somebody that's almost like your old friends, old buddies. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So I think this will come out after our recap video, but maybe our Drain the Lake video and recap of Neely Henry. but probably before our fantasy fishing pick video. So
Yeah, later this week.
if you're still out there watching, keep an eye out. Subscribe, like. We appreciate that.
Yes, very much.
We're growing. It's doing well. So I think that's it.
That's it. You guys have a good night. We are Stout Sportsmen, Matt and Scott.
Stay stout.
And we're out.